Hey everyone, welcome back to Midnight Recaps, where every story gets darker after midnight. Tonight's story begins on what should have been a peaceful Thanksgiving. But when Black Friday greed turns into absolute chaos, a year-long nightmare is born. Now, someone wearing the mask of John Carver is hunting down everyone connected to that horrifying night. One brutal kill at a time. So grab your popcorn, dim the lights, and let's get into tonight's nightmare. The movie opens in Plymouth, Massachusetts on Thanksgiving night, where everyone is preparing for the biggest shopping event of the year, Black Friday. Sheriff Eric Newlin is spending the holiday at the luxurious home of Thomas Wright, the wealthy owner of the Wright Mart supermarket chain. Also at the dinner is Mitch Collins, the manager of one of Thomas's stores, along with his wife, Amanda. Everything seems peaceful, until Mitch receives a phone call that instantly ruins his evening. He's ordered to report to work because the Black Friday sale is about to begin. Meanwhile, Thomas's daughter, Jessica, is more interested in hanging out with her boyfriend Bobby and their friends than spending time with her family. The group heads toward the local movie theater, but one of their friends suggests stopping by Wright Mart first. Since Jessica has access to the store before opening, they sneak inside to look around. Outside, however, hundreds of impatient shoppers have already gathered. The crowd grows larger by the minute, and tensions begin to rise. When people notice Jessica and her friends inside the locked store, they become furious, believing the teenagers are getting special treatment. One troublemaker from a rival school starts stirring up the crowd, and before long, the angry shoppers begin pushing against the glass entrance doors. Inside, the teenagers watch helplessly as the glass starts cracking. Then, the doors explode. A massive wave of customers storms into the store like a tidal wave, trampling anyone unlucky enough to be in the way. One security guard is knocked to the ground and crushed beneath hundreds of feet before anyone can help him. Another shopper has his throat ripped open by the shattered glass. Bobby desperately tries to rescue people, but someone stomps on his arm, shattering his wrist and destroying his dream of becoming a professional baseball player. Just when things couldn't get any worse, Amanda arrives at the store to bring something to Mitch. She gets caught in the stampede, falls to the floor, and is struck by a runaway shopping cart. The impact is so brutal that it tears the skin from her head, killing her instantly. Moments later, Mitch finds his wife's lifeless body and breaks down in horror. The nightmare finally ends only after Sheriff Newlin fires his gun into the air, forcing the panicked crowd to stop. But the damage has already been done. 1 year later, the town is still haunted by the tragedy. Wright Mart is preparing for another Black Friday sale as if nothing ever happened, and Mitch has become one of the company's loudest critics, blaming Thomas Wright for covering up the disaster. Even worse, no one was ever arrested because the store conveniently claimed that all the security cameras had mysteriously stopped working that night. The survivors have also drifted apart. Bobby has completely cut ties with Jessica and the rest of the group after losing his baseball career because of his injured arm. One evening, while the friends are eating at a local diner, they notice Bobby sitting alone for the first time in months. Before anyone can approach him, all of their phones buzz with a strange notification. Someone has tagged every one of them in an Instagram post. The account belongs to someone calling themselves John Carver, named after the famous pilgrim who helped found Plymouth. At first, it feels like nothing more than a creepy prank. But that feeling doesn't last long. Later that night, Lizzie, the waitress working at the diner, closes up alone. She was one of the people involved in the deadly Black Friday chaos and unknowingly played a role in Amanda's horrific death. As she finishes cleaning, strange noises echo through the empty restaurant. Then, a figure wearing a chilling John Carver mask steps out of the darkness. Before Lizzie can escape, the masked killer slashes open her hand and repeatedly dunks her face into a sink filled with water, nearly drowning her. He then freezes her against a massive freezer door. Desperate to survive, Lizzie rips herself free, tearing away layers of her own skin in the process. Barely able to stand, she stumbles outside toward her car, only to realize her keys are gone. The killer already has them. Panicking, Lizzie runs for her life as the masked figure speeds a car straight toward her. With nowhere else to hide, she dives into a nearby dumpster. For a split second, it seems like she's safe. Then the killer slams the vehicle into the dumpster with full force. The heavy metal lid crashes shut, slicing Lizzie completely in half. The next morning, the town wakes to a horrifying sight. Lizzie's mutilated body has been grotesquely displayed on top of the Right Mart sign, sending a clear message. The nightmare has only just begun. Sheriff Newland immediately launches an investigation. During the search for answers, Jessica hands over security footage from the Black Friday riot, footage that everyone believed had been lost forever. The videos reveal exactly who was involved that night, including Lizzie. Meanwhile, another former Right Mart security guard named Manny is packing his bags for a vacation, hoping to leave the town's dark memories behind. While alone inside his house, he hears a strange noise. Thinking it's nothing, he grabs a weapon and begins searching the rooms. Big mistake. John Carver has already broken in. Without warning, the killer drives an electric mixer straight into Manny's stomach. As Manny screams in agony, Carver loops a wire around his neck and slowly tightens it until his head is completely severed from his body. It's now painfully clear that John Carver isn't choosing his victims at random. Someone is crossing names off a list, and the survivors have no idea who's next. John Carver's killing spree is far from over. His next targets are Lonnie and his girlfriend, Amy, two more people connected to the Black Friday tragedy. The couple spends the evening outside, completely unaware that someone is watching them from the shadows. While Amy happily shows off tricks on a trampoline, Lonnie suddenly hears something behind him. Before he can even turn around, John Carver strikes. With a horrifying snap, Lonnie's neck is twisted backward, killing him instantly. Amy keeps bouncing, thinking everything is fine. Then a knife suddenly shoots up through the trampoline, stabbing straight through her foot. She loses her balance and crashes down. Before she can scream for help, Carver drives the blade through her body, ending her life in a brutal instant. Another pair of names has been crossed off the list. The next day, Jessica heads to her high school with Evan and Gabby, while Sheriff Newland and several officers remain nearby, hoping to prevent another attack. But John Carver isn't intimidated by police. Jessica briefly separates from her friends, giving the killer the perfect opportunity. Carver ambushes Evan and Gabby, leaving them helpless before turning his attention toward Jessica. She barely escapes, once again staying just one step ahead of the masked murderer. Meanwhile, Yulia's father decides they've had enough. Convinced his daughter isn't safe in Plymouth anymore, he prepares to move her to Florida under police protection. Unfortunately, John Carver gets there first. The killer sneaks into the house, quickly eliminating both the security guard and Yulia's father before hunting Yulia through the home. At the same time, Jessica and Scuba receive a terrifying video call. They watch in horror as Yulia is attacked live. They race to her house as fast as they can. But they're already too late. Carver has strapped Yulia onto a running buzzsaw. Without hesitation, he throws her onto the spinning blade. The gruesome machine tears through her body, while the helpless Scuba arrives only in time to witness the horrifying aftermath. Devastated, he collapses beside his girlfriend's lifeless body. With the body count rising, the police come up with one final plan. They decide to use the town's annual Thanksgiving parade as bait, believing John Carver won't be able to resist another chance to strike. Jessica, her father Thomas, Kathleen, and Scuba are all placed under heavy police protection and ordered to participate in the parade. Everything appears to be under control, until a mysterious clown suddenly appears among the performers. Without warning, the clown decapitates the parade's turkey mascot. Chaos erupts. Smoke bombs explode throughout the streets, sending terrified spectators running in every direction. Hidden beneath the confusion, John Carver makes his move. By the time the smoke clears, Jessica's family and Scuba have vanished. They've been kidnapped. When Kathleen regains consciousness, she finds herself trapped inside John Carver's twisted hideout. The room looks less like a basement and more like a butcher's kitchen. Carver begins preparing her exactly like a Thanksgiving turkey. Somehow, Kathleen manages to free herself and almost escapes. Almost. Carver catches her before she can reach safety and forces her into a blazing oven. Moments later, she is burned alive. Soon after, Carver wheels Kathleen's roasted body into another room where Thomas, Jessica, Scuba, Evan, and Gabby are tied up and forced to watch in horror. As if that weren't enough, the killer starts a live stream for the entire world to see. Then, right in front of the camera, he brutally kills Evan by smashing his skull. Jessica refuses to give up. Using a sharp ring she'd picked up earlier, she quietly cuts through her restraints. She secretly passes the ring to Scuba before making a run for it. Carver immediately chases after her, giving the others a chance to fight back. Jessica sprints deep into the woods before stumbling into an abandoned parade warehouse. Outside, Sheriff Newland lies unconscious. Relieved to find him, she rushes inside, only to spot Bobby wandering through the building. For a brief moment, Jessica becomes convinced Bobby is the killer, but before anyone can stop him, he disappears. Police officers soon arrive with good news. Thomas, Scuba, and the remaining survivors have been rescued. Everything seems to be over. Then Jessica notices something strange. The muddy thorns stuck to Sheriff Newland's boots are identical to the ones she ran through while escaping the woods. In that instant, everything finally makes sense. Sheriff Newland isn't hunting John Carver. He is John Carver. With nowhere left to hide, Newland confesses everything. He reveals that he had secretly been having an affair with Amanda before she died, and that she had been pregnant. Consumed by grief and rage after losing both Amanda and their unborn child, he decided everyone responsible for that Black Friday disaster deserved to die. He even admits that Bobby was framed after being drugged, all to throw the investigation off his trail. What Newland doesn't realize is that Jessica has secretly been live-streaming his confession the entire time. The truth is finally out. Enraged, Newland attacks. Just as all hope seems lost, Bobby arrives and pulls Jessica to safety. The pair jump into Bobby's truck, desperate to escape. But Newland has already chained the vehicle to a massive support beam, making it impossible to drive away. Thinking quickly, Jessica notices one of the giant parade floats nearby. She activates it and waits patiently for Newland to get close. The moment he steps within range, she fires a shot into the float. A massive explosion erupts, engulfing Newland in a wall of flames. When the fire finally dies down, investigators search the scene but recover nothing except ashes. Everyone assumes John Carver is dead. Jessica reunites with her surviving friends, believing the nightmare has finally ended. But just before the credits roll, she notices a firefighter wearing a mask and carrying an axe quietly walking away from the scene. For a split second, it looks exactly like Newland. Later that night, Jessica tries to move on with her life. As she falls asleep beside Ryan, she suddenly jolts awake from a terrifying nightmare. Her closet door slowly creaks open, and a burning John Carver steps out of the darkness, reaching for her as the screen cuts to black. And that's how tonight's nightmare comes to an end. But here's the question. Do you think Sheriff Newland really died in the explosion? Or was that masked firefighter a hint that John Carver is still alive? Let me know your theory in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Midnight Recaps, and turn on notifications so you never miss another dark story. This is Midnight Recaps, where every story gets darker after midnight. Until next time, keep the lights on.